Let's talk about a word that's been turned into a weapon, yet started as a simple mechanical idea, slowing something down. Before it became a slur, retard came from the Latin retardare, to delay, to slow, to hold back. Even today, standard dictionaries still define the verb in that functional, non-medical sense, to delay or impede the development or progress of. That's not an opinion. That's the original job of the word. And here's the uncomfortable truth. All of us, at some point, have had progress in a certain area of life that was, functionally, slowed down. Not because we're broken, not because we're less than, but because we didn't have the tools. Think about it. If you don't understand fractions, your math progress stalls. If you never learned how to read social cues, your relationships hit speed bumps. If you've never been taught basic car maintenance, a simple dashboard light can feel like a crisis. In that narrow, literal sense, your development in that specific lane is delayed, hindered, retarded. That's why this matters. When we confuse slowed progress with human worth, we stop learning, and we start labeling. Now, let's bring in the real villain of the story: ignorance. Ignorance isn't just not knowing, it's being unaware, uninformed, or refusing to look. And the moment you're ignorant of a fact, you can't use it. You can't build with it. You can't apply it. It might as well not exist. Ignorance is the brake pedal on personal growth. And willful ignorance? That's not a brake pedal. That's yanking the emergency brake at full speed. It's choosing comfort over clarity. It's seeing new evidence and saying, no thanks, I'd rather keep my current story. Because learning requires a specific kind of courage, the courage to be wrong for a moment so you can be right for a lifetime. Here's how the loop forms. How people trap themselves without realizing it. First, there's the hole in knowledge, a gap, missing pieces. And when you don't know you have a gap, you compensate with guesses, assumptions, and confident opinions that feel like facts. Then comes the resistance. Because the second truth shows up, someone corrects you, a new idea challenges you, a fact doesn't fit your worldview, and suddenly it's not just information anymore, it's a threat. Not to your intelligence, but to your identity. To admit you were wrong can feel like shrinking. So instead of adjusting, you defend. You double down. You get sarcastic. You dismiss. You attack the messenger. You scroll past. You change the subject. And that's the moment the mind stops accelerating. Not because it can't learn, but because it won't. This is the part most people miss. Ignorance doesn't only delay progress in one topic. Over time, it reshapes your relationship with truth itself. The more often you practice rejecting new information, the better you get at rejecting new information. You start building mental habits, biases, that keep you safe from discomfort. And those biases don't just guard one belief, they become a filter over everything. That's what makes the loop so dangerous. It trains you to confuse feeling right with being right. Now we need to address the cultural landmine here. Historically, retard was adopted as a clinical label, and that legacy is a big reason the word is so loaded today. Society recognized the harm. In 2010, Rosa's Law changed U.S. legal language to replace mental retardation with intellectual disability, reflecting a broader shift toward respectful, accurate language. And the stigma didn't appear out of nowhere. Research has shown how deeply that word has been used as a casual insult. One study found that 92% of youth had heard it used in a pejorative way. That's not rare. That's cultural saturation. So let's be crystal clear. Using the term as a slur is lazy, cruel, and socially corrosive. It doesn't describe reality. It spreads shame. But here's the powerful flip. We can separate the cruelty from the concept. The concept is simple. When you don't have information, your progress slows. When you refuse information, your progress stays slowed. Ignorance is the cause. Delay is the effect. And the moment you see that, you regain control, because you realize you're not doomed by a lack of knowledge. You're only limited by the choice to avoid it. So here's the question that actually changes lives. Where have you pulled the emergency brake? What topic makes you instantly defensive? What conversation do you avoid because it might expose a gap? What truth have you been swatting away? Not because it's false, but because it's inconvenient. If you want to grow faster, financially, socially, emotionally, intellectually, you don't need a new personality. You need a new habit. trading ego protection for truth-seeking. And if you're ready for the next step, explore the mechanism behind the break: cognitive biases. Because once you can name the bias, you can disarm it, and the mind starts moving again.